I don't think anybody's home.
Let's do a video, don't we?
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Beard Gaming Network. I am the Bearder One, as always, and this is number 2, installment 2, of my Gaming Purchases Showcase series. I started this near the end of the summer, where I showed you guys a bunch of games that I had picked up within the last week or so, and I've gotten a number of new games over the last month or so, so I just wanted to take some time out of my day while I'm alone, and I'll show you guys the games that I purchased in about the last month or two. Once again, just like last time, all of these games are going to be for Xbox 360. So I guess we'll just go from oldest to most recent. Starting off, we have Saints Row III. Now, in the last gaming showcase video, I told you guys that I had been looking for the Saints Row games forever. And in that last video, I showed you that I picked up Saints Row 2. I never ended up finding 1, so I said, fuck it, let's just skip it. I started at 2, I managed to pick up the 3rd, so I played that and then I played this. I like this more than Saints Row 2, actually. I felt that in terms of gameplay, I have beaten this, by the way. In terms of gameplay, it felt more fluid, more entertaining. There were a lot of mechanics that felt a lot better than they did in Saints Row 2. The graphics were improved, you know, better voice acting, you know, better humor. This is really where the Saints Row game started going crazy, for lack of better terms. When they just sort of deviated themselves away from every other game in the genre and just became its own entity. So I really liked this game. I liked it better than Saints Row 2. I felt that everything was improved, which is what a sequel should be. Going off of that, we have probably my favorite Saints Row game, Saints Row 4. Now, I picked up Saints Row the 3rd and 4 together, and if anyone on the channel hasn't seen it yet, go watch the unboxing of both these games, which I did. This is my favorite Saints Row game, and probably will be my favorite out of the entire series. This game's fucking nuts. It reminds me, I love superhero games, and this is just a giant parody of almost every modern superhero game. You have elements from Hulk, Prototype, Infamous, Crackdown, you know, you just have all of those superpowers thrown together into this game, and it makes it so much more chaotic and so much more fun than either of the previous Saints Row games. And this is my favorite, probably always will be my favorite. And if you guys are Saints Row fans, I recommend that you definitely go and pick this up. It is so worth it. It's also the longest out of the entire series. I beat this game 22 hours in, so it's a lengthy game too. Now here's another game that I also did a recent unboxing of, Rayman Legends. Now, anyone who follows Bearded Banter, I talk about Rayman Origins a lot. It's one of my favorite games of 2011. It's one of my favorite platformers of all time. I just felt that they got it so perfect in terms of gameplay, controls, mechanics, visuals. Everything just came together so perfectly into a very cohesive experience that it's just one of my favorite games ever. And this has been one of my most hyped games of the year just because of how much I love the original. So I went and I picked this up on launch day, by the way. Played through the whole thing. I actually think this game is better than Rayman Origins. I know, after that little spiel I just had, that's kind of hard to say, or hard to believe that I would say that, but I do think this is better than Rayman Origins. Just because they took all the mechanics that were great in Origins and they expanded upon them, which again is what a sequel should do. They took the looms and they made those into currency for costumes and stuff. They took Teensies, they gave Teensies a much larger role in this game, and just the level design is just flawless. The visuals are actually better than Origins, because Origins look fucking gorgeous and this actually looks even better. It had a more understandable story. The one problem I had with Origins is that the story didn't make a whole lot of sense. Here, this game has a more cohesive story. You kind of get the bigger picture, and I just think it's better. And they took everything that was great about Origins and they expanded upon it and somehow made it even better than it already was. These next few games I actually just got today. I ordered them within the last week from Best Buy. Let me give you some perspective, a little backstory, if you will. In the past week on the Xbox Marketplace, there was a Activision publisher sale where a bunch of Activision published games were half off. And all these games I was very much interested in because they're older games that I never got a chance to play that I wanted to. So I thought, now they're on sale, they're half off, better time than ever to pick them up. My credit card's not working on Xbox Live right now. For some reason, any game or anything on the marketplace that's over $15, the purchase will just not go through no matter what. So I kind of got screwed over. I couldn't buy any of these games while they were on sale. So I looked online, I found all of them for pretty cheap, and so I just got them in today in the mail. And I'll start off with this game that's not actually for me, this is for Bones, and it's not actually part of the bundle of games I'm going to show you later on, but I did still order it. Final Fantasy XIII. Now, this isn't for me, this is for Bones. I bought this for Bones. She was interested, as some of you may know, Final Fantasy XIII 3 comes out relatively soon, and Bones was actually pretty interested because she's never played a Final Fantasy game before. I know, kind of a horrible place to start in terms of Final Fantasy games because there's so many better ones than this, but she was really interested in the Final Fantasy XIII series because there was this one, the original, they had a sequel, 13-2, and now they have Lightning Returns, which is basically 13-3. I honestly don't know why 13 needs an entire trilogy, but whatever. Yeah, Bones was really interested in the Final Fantasy 13 games, so she said, hey, if you manage to find the original 13 pretty cheap, could you pick it up for me? So I found this new on Best Buy for $20, and I just ordered it for her because she was interested. And to be honest, I've never played a Final Fantasy game either. I'm an RPG guy, but I'm not hardcore RPG. Like, I don't get into these games as much as other people do, so I'm not entirely interested in them. I like games, I'm not into like hardcore RPGs, I'm more into games that have RPG elements added to them. Like a game like Borderlands or Fallout or things like that. They have RPG elements incorporated into them, not full-on RPGs like this. So, pick this up for Bones. I heard this is shit. I think it's shit because of what I've heard of it, but we'll just have to wait and see. Now, this little bundle of games, about 4, these were all on the Activision sale that I could not partake in on the Xbox Marketplace this past week. So I looked them up on Best Buy, I found them all pretty cheap, and I got them mailed in today, so let me give you guys a hint. They're superhero games, and they're Marvel. So, what Marvel superhero has several games within the last few years on next-gen consoles? Can you not guess? Well, let me tell you. SpiderMan Web of Shadows. That's right. These next 4 games are going to be Spider-Man games because I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I was a huge fan of the Spider-Man games, Spider-Man 2 and Ultimate Spider-Man. They're some of the best open world games ever in my opinion. Coincidentally, I have not actually played, as of right now, I have not actually played a Spider-Man game since Ultimate Spider-Man, which I consider to be my personal favorite. Now, all these games that have come out in the last 5 years or so, I've wanted to play because I love the original Spider-Man game so much. I wanted to see what they did with Spider-Man in the modern era. And so I picked all of these up for really cheap prices. So here we have SpiderMan Web of Shadows, the first open world Spider-Man game since Ultimate Spider-Man. I've heard quite polarizing things about it. From friends, I've heard that this game is really fun and really dynamic, and it's really entertaining, and it really holds true to Spider-Man. But the critics, I've heard, are just on this game. I'm willing to give it a try because, like I said, Ultimate Spider-Man to me is my favorite Spider-Man game. Spider-Man 2 is a very close second. I just love the feeling, like I've said before in the past game showcase. I love games that have a free-form movement mechanic. With Spider-Man, it's his web-slinging. I just love the concept of being Spider-Man web-slinging through an open-world New York. That's why I love Spider-Man 2 and Ultimate Spider-Man so much. So when I heard about this game, I wanted to play it, but I never got a chance to. Now, I do have a chance to play it. So I'll let you guys know what I think of this and if I think it holds up to the likes of 2 and Ultimate. Now these next 3 games have all come out within the last 3 years or so. They've all been developed by the new Spider-Man game developer known as Beenox. First we have Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. Now, this game was really interesting to me when it came out. It was a linear Spider-Man game, which at first I thought was a negative. Spider-Man isn't Spider-Man if it's not open world. But then I heard the premise and the concept behind it. I thought the concept was super interesting. I mean, the whole premise behind this game is that 4 different Spider-Man from 4 different dimensions have to work together in order to close the tear in space. And I just thought it was super cool going back and forth between these 4 different dimensions, 4 completely unique Spider-Man with their own personalities and their own gameplay styles, and all the different variations of the classic Spider-Man villains in each dimension. I thought it sounded like a super cool concept, and I wanted to play this. Never got a chance to, now I do. Even though it is a linear Spider-Man game, I'll definitely give it a chance because the concept just blows me away, and I think it's a super cool idea to do for a video game. Next up, we have the second Spider-Man game developed by Beenox, the spiritual sequel to Shattered Dimensions, Spider-Man Edge of Time. Now, I haven't heard very many good things about this game, but once again, something about Beenox and the Spider-Man games, the concepts behind them just drive me to want to play them, because the concept in this game is that Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man in the present is murdered, and that completely changes the future for the worse. So Spider-Man 2099 has to go back to before Peter Parker was killed in the Amazing Spider-Man timeline, and they have to work together between dimensions and time spans in order to stop basically the destruction of the world in the future. Again, super interesting concept to me, and I've heard that this, compared to Shattered Dimensions, it's very repetitive, very shallow. They don't do they apparently did the exact opposite of what they did in Shattered Dimensions, but just the concept behind this is so interesting to me, I'd be willing to give it a chance. And I'll let you guys know if this is actually as bad as people have told me, because I'm willing to give it a chance. Here we have the most recent of the Beenox developed Spider-Man games, based off of the rebooted movie franchise that started up last summer, The Amazing Spider-Man. Now, hold on, before you start bashing this game, yes, it is a movie tie-in, but this game, to me, reminds me a lot of what Spider-Man 2 was. It was a movie tie-in, but it was revolutionary because it brought in that free-roaming, web-slinging Spider-Man gameplay that we all know and love. And this reminds me so much of Spider-Man 2 in the way it looks, the way it's presented, you know, the way the gameplay looks. Again, this returns Spider-Man to the open world sandbox style of gameplay, web-slinging through New York, the first open world Spider-Man since Web of Shadows, and even though it is a movie tie-in, it reminds me so much of one of my favorite PlayStation 2 games of all time. I'm willing to give it a chance. If it sucks, it sucks. Oh well, you gotta deal with it. So I'm willing to give this a chance because it reminds me so much of what Spider-Man 2 was, and I hope it lives up to it. Now, I would say that was the last game I have to show you guys in this installment of my gaming purchases, but if you've been following BGN the last week or so, you'll know there's just one more game I have to show you guys. BAM! GTA 5. Fuck yes, okay? I gotta be honest, I'm guilty. I was in the hype of this game just as much as anyone else in the gaming community. This game, in my opinion, is one of, if not the most hyped games ever. And so far, to me, this game has lived up to all the hype. Because like I said, a good sequel either needs to take what made the previous game awesome and expand upon those mechanics to make it even better, or they need to take what didn't work in the previous game and either fix them or remove them. And this game does both. It takes what made GTA 4 such an amazing, enthralling experience and expands upon it with so much more to offer, while also fixing what was wrong with GTA 4, like the driving controls, some of the auto-aim issues, things like that. This game is just beautifully crafted. It is almost perfect. Like, The fact that they have 3 different main characters that you can switch between anytime you want, in Michael, Trevor, and Franklin, is just amazing. It completely changes the gameplay for the better. It feels like it's more alive, you know? It feels like there's more life to it than there used to be. And the fact that each character has their own unique personality and their own special moves. Granted, they control exactly the same, but the fact that they have those little spots of detail in each individual character makes them feel completely different. They don't feel like they're the same person, you know? It doesn't feel like you're controlling the same character just 3 different times. They feel completely different, and Rockstar just hit the nail right on the head with that. Also, Los Santos and San Andreas is such a better environment than Liberty City was in GTA 4. While GTA 4 was a very static, boring city that looked pretty much the same all the way through, San Andreas, the new San Andreas in GTA 5, it feels like an actual breathing world. It feels like it's actually out there somewhere, you know? And I know this is based off Southern California, Los Angeles, but it feels like Los Santos could be an actual city somewhere. There's just so much more detail, life, and variation in the environment than there was in GTA 4. It just makes this probably the best GTA game ever made. Just the little details that Rockstar puts in here it just makes it as close to perfect as it possibly can be. I know I'm nerding all over this right now, but this game is amazing. If any of you are into open world sandbox games, if you are GTA fans, if you haven't already picked this game up, I highly advise that you pick this up. It's definitely worth your money. So much content, so much variety. Such a beautiful game. Let me just give you a quick little recap of each game that I bought in the last month or so, and that I've just shown you in this installment of the Gaming Purchases Showcase. Saints Row III, Saints Row 4, Rayman Legends, Final Fantasy XIII, SpiderMan Web of Shadows, SpiderMan Shattered Dimensions, SpiderMan Edge of Time, The Amazing SpiderMan, and lastly, the biggest game in this installment of the Gaming Purchases Showcase, GTA 5. So that's it for me, guys. These are all the games that I've gotten in the last month and a half. Like I said before, if I have a multitude of purchases that I want to show you guys, I'll continue the Gaming Purchases Showcase in the future. So with that said and done, I think I'll wrap up this installment of the Gaming Purchases Showcase. I hope you all have a good day. I am the Bearded One, and I'll see you next time. Keep on gaming, everyone.